I am telling you, the world's first trillionaires are going to come from somebody who masters AI and all its derivatives and applies it in ways we never thought of. Money is a scoreboard where you can rank how you're doing against other people. In my opinion, right now there's way too much hype on the technologies and not enough attention to the real businesses behind them. Whatever you are studying right now, if you are not getting up to speed on deep learning, neural networks, etc., you lose. We are going through the process where software will automate software, automation will automate automation. I think one of the biggest curses in the US is that we have only two political parties. Up until Trump announced his candidacy, the conventional wisdom was that you had to be a professional politician in order to run. You had to have a background that was politically scrubbed. In other words, smart people who didn't live perfect lives could never run. For food service industry and retail, I'm for the minimum wage being increased to at least $12. Not for manufacturing. Software and robotics are going to revolutionize manufacturing in the next 10 years. In the meantime, we have to compete with overseas manufacturing. I have always been selling. I always had something going on. That was just my nature. When I got to the Mavericks, people were all giving me advice, change this, change that, and one thing that I didn't do was fire anybody. I don't care what anyone says. Being rich is a good thing. Sweat equity is the best equity. But we have to ask ourselves, what's the purpose of the stock market? It's supposed to be a source of capital for growing business. It's lost that purpose. I hate politics. It's slimy. Any job where people pander for votes, I don't like. The country has gotten so partisan that if you're not on my side, you're the enemy. The only thing I ever try to support is a third party, like Unity 08. We need more parties and more choice. I don't think there's any question that the UFL or any other league that wants to challenge the NFL can have an impact. The demand for professional football is off the charts. After military service, the most patriotic thing you can do as a wealthy person is pay your taxes. Technological change always accelerates. It never stagnates over time. Which means we are going to face the fact that, if nothing in the States changes, we will find ourselves dependent on other countries for almost everything that can and will be manufactured in a quickly approaching future. I would rather have the costs of consumer goods and restaurants, products we as consumers can choose to buy or not buy, go up and the need for public services go down. I used to drive around looking at the big houses, wondering how they got there. I used to love biographies about successful business people, wondering how they got there. You start to realize that if they can do it, I can do it. I think Amazon is the greatest startup and the greatest company in the world. The way they are using new technologies is not just disrupting retail, it's getting ready to disrupt everything. I create offbeat advice, I don't follow it. I rarely take third-party advice on my investments. Staying true to who I am was tougher when I first got wealthy. Having great friends kept me grounded. If you think back to the first sporting event you went to, you don't remember the score, you don't remember a home run, you don't remember a dunk. You remember who you were with. Were you with your mom, your dad, your brother, on a date? I bought a lifetime pass on American Airlines and had a blast. The most memorable was going to Barcelona on a whim and scalping tickets at the Olympics to the Dream Team quarterfinals. At least before my hip replacement, I had a quick first step. I could get by you off the dribble. My business game is the same way. I can turn an idea into a business before you know it's going to be important. My first step will blow by you. When I die, I want to come back as me. You've got to be very cognizant of the correlation between social media links and business because they don't always correlate as highly as people would like. When someone has to go to the hospital because they don't have insurance, and by the way, I think the insurance companies should be out of the mix altogether, but when someone needs health care, and they don't have the ability to pay for it, in our communities, we end up paying for it one way or the other. Anyone who says he is an expert in the market is lying to you. There is no such thing. I had a Taco Bell audition where I had to wear a huge sombrero and walk around like an idiot. I got callbacks for the movie Twister, did small independent stuff that I won't name. But it led to all my breakthrough moments on Entourage. I believe that starting any business should be as easy as a 10-year-old starting a lemonade stand. When you look at policy wonk in the dictionary, the one picture you won't see is Donald Trump. You've never heard me talk about politics all that much, and it's just, I can't think of anybody more dangerous as president than Donald Trump. I can't think of anything worse than with him not having a clue. I mean, could you imagine somebody who doesn't read and doesn't learn trying to deal with the day-to-day changes and challenges of that job? If the pitch starts with a sob story, I'm out. If the pitch talks about personal issues, I'm out. If the pitch starts off with how big the market opportunity is, I'm out. If the pitch tells me what is unique about the product, how it can make a profit, and it's an area where I have expertise, I will read on. If you are good enough to compete for a top-level corporate job, you should be smart enough to know what the job pays the other gender and negotiate accordingly. If you are an employer, and you don't pay an employee market wages, regardless of gender or orientation, you will end up with what you deserve. I placed too much importance on comparing how much I had to others early on. Then I started realizing time was a far more valuable asset. When I started using money to create more time, I appreciated both more. I'm not cut out for politics. Social media is just a platform. Twitter is a very simple and immediate broadcast platform. Facebook is a very personal, when it comes to friends and when it comes to fan pages, a little bit less but still somewhat personal way to communicate. We can't ever forget that the internet now is just a stage utility. The exciting platforms are software applications that are very, very simple. Go out there and get rich. Get so obnoxiously rich that when that tax bill comes, your first thought will be to choke on how big a check you have to write. I worked hard and smarter than most people in the businesses I have been in. I'm not a fan of giving to charities. I have a few I support, but the overhead and inefficiencies really bother me. Instead, I pay people's bills and help solve problems. I have been a proponent of dramatically expanding the AmeriCorps program. By increasing the pay of participants to a living wage, it can act as a jobs program that, rather than trying to predict what will be technically viable jobs, will value social support and provide jobs that make communities stronger. I love being challenged and defending my positions and, when I'm wrong, learning from the exchange. It makes me smarter and better as a businessperson. I think people are tired of politics as usual. We're tired of everything being scripted, we're tired of every comment being politically correct. Part of the bigger problem with Donald Trump is, when you sit and talk to him one-on-one, he's reasonable, he comes across as caring, he's open-minded, but then, all of that just is thrown out the window when he tweets and when he communicates with the media, and when he communicates at all.